Welcome back. Today, we're talking about the serious challenges posed by BRD. Earlier this year, we visited Iowa to see how Dr. Tom Ulrichsen works with his producers in preventing and treating BRD. Here are some of the insights we gained during that visit.
When Zactran came out a couple years ago, I was a little bit hesitant and I kind of let other people try them. But my first big experience with Zactran was a client that called me. He had 120 head of cattle that he brought in a couple weeks before. They had gotten sick. He'd used several different products on them. He had 6 deads on a Saturday morning when he called me. I went out there, posted them, looked like Pastorella. I said, there's only one left that I'm going to use, and that's going to be Zactran. The cattle the next morning were up eating, and they took off after that. So I've been a big cheerleader for Zactran ever since. Early detection is the key. The sooner you get them, the better results you're going to have. And we do see guys that have missed them or they've treated and then they're not responding, so they call us in. We've had real good luck with Zactran. Most of the pneumonias that we're seeing are bacterial, and there might be a combination, but with the vaccines we have, we're seeing more of a bacterial pneumonia or a mycoplasma pneumonia. And so we've got to have a drug that will treat those. And for me, we're seeing an increase of mycoplasma, and that's a nice thing about Zactran. It'll treat both, and it's labeled for both. So when I come in with an animal, I'm just treating, I have nothing to go on, and yet I know from past history that I'm probably, if I send a sample of those lungs in, I'm going to find mycoplasma in addition to a Pastorella or Mannheimia hemolytica. I can come with Zactran. The nice thing about Zactran, a couple things. First of all, there's a real kick up front. It really hammers that bug hard. So you'll see results within the first 24 hours. The other nice thing about Zactran, it's 10 days treatment. So you give one shot, you don't have to touch the animal, run him in the chute again, stress him out again, giving 2 and 3 sets of shots. So one shot in 10 days gives a real good kick up front, very strong antibiotic, and most of the time I give it one shot of Zactran and we don't have to worry about them again.
Dr. Ulrichsen, tell us more about how big BRD is in terms of being a real concern in your area.
Well, it is the #1 disease in both our cow-calf operations and in our feedlot operations. Once we get those little calves past the scour stage and out on pasture, that's the #1 problem we see. And of course in the feedlot, it is the #1 problem we see. Not only from death loss and treatment costs, but also from the lingering effects of the disease, the ones that don't pass away, but rather they have scarred lungs, decreased feed efficiency, poor growth, and you end up with a calf at the end of the feeding period or at when you're weaning time that nobody wants to buy.
So what do you tell your customers and clients when you recommend Zactran?
Well, first of all, I tell them we want to hit, with pneumonia and the price of these calves, we want to hit these calves hard and we want to hit them fast. And Zactran, as we've talked, is one of the most powerful antibiotics out there, very unique in its chemistry. Also, it's very hard hitting. Got a great kick up front, and that's what I like about it because I want my calves to treat them and I want to see some results the next day. It is labeled for the 4 major respiratory bacterial pathogens, which is nice because we don't always have diagnostics to tell us, hey, it's mycoplasma or it's this or that. I've had several pasture calves that have had mycoplasma, and we didn't know what it was at first, found out later, but if you come in with the wrong drug, you don't get a response. So it's very helpful to have a drug that covers all 4, and I can send that out confidently. I love the 1 dose last 10 days because we have a lot of pasture situations, a lot of timber and a lot of cricks, and I don't have a lot of cowboys in my practice. I've only got 2. Which means I'm the 3rd best roper in the practice, which tells you the problem with getting your hands on these calves to treat. And the guys don't want to grab them the 2nd and 3rd day to treat. So very big selling point that treat them once, you got 10 days worth of treatment in them. And the other thing is the safety of the drug. Accidents happen, and it's reassuring to know that it's got a high level of safety, and my producers and their family can use it with a level of safety.
Dr. Moravec, you mentioned earlier that it's so important for producers to work with their vets. Why do you say that?
Well, I think Dr. Ulrichsen just kind of painted that picture for us with the mycoplasma, utilizing your local veterinarian for their diagnostic expertise, tapping into what they know, tapping into the resources that they have, sending samples into the lab to diagnose exactly what it is you're dealing with. Because with a bug like mycoplasma, if you're treating with a beta-lactam, which inhibits cell wall synthesis, that's how it kills the bug. This is a bug that doesn't have a cell wall. And so you need to use a macrolide like Zactran to get after it, and having that diagnostic capability is key.
I've certainly learned a lot from our discussion here today, and Dr. Ulrichsen, I would ask you, how do you educate your producers on BRD?
Well, mainly one-on-one, although we do have producer meetings, but we're very fortunate in the state of Iowa. We have a real fine preconditioning program. And so with our cow-calf guys, I'm working those calves in the spring with respiratory virus vaccines and blackleg and all that. And then we come back in the fall at green tag time, and we booster all those vaccines. So we have a very strong program for health-wise for calves coming out of the state of Iowa with the green tag program. As far as feedlot, same thing, one-on-one. We have several small feedlots that in my practice area, and most of those cattle come through my clinic, so we're discussing vaccine programs and prevention programs with them at that time. And we kind of know, I've been there 24 years, we kind of know the history of the herds and where they're getting them from, and we tailor-made our programs to what their specific problems are.
So when you're working with clients, what are the questions that you typically ask producers as you recommend either a treatment or a control kind of a program?
Well, with the cow-calf guys, it's pretty straightforward, because usually that's a sick calf out on pasture and you treat him and that's it. Feedlot gets a lot more complicated. And I have a whole laundry list of questions to ask. Where'd the cattle come from? How long they've been in? How sick are they? What are you treating with? What kind of temperatures are you seeing? Have you any dye? And then if they have had some dye, we want to definitely get some postmortems done and get some diagnostics done so we know what we're dealing with. But nutrition is also very key. We go through the nutrition, how they started calves, try to stay away from the silage for the acidosis. That brings on more prone to get BRD, problems with that. And then coccidiosis control is common. We got just about everybody on coccidiosis control, because we found out when calves had coccidiosis, more prone to get BRD. So we go through that whole laundry list with them.
Thanks again for your insights. This has been a great discussion. And we'll have more on Mariel and their work with cattle producers right after this. Stay with us.